Imagine you're walking along a beach right after a massive, just catastrophic storm,
Yeah.
and the landscape is completely devastated. I mean, the ocean has swallowed homes, communities, entire coastlines.
Yeah, just total destruction everywhere.
Exactly. And amidst all that wreckage, you spot a bottle washed ashore. There's a message inside. But when you uncork it and pull the paper out, it isn't a cry for help.
Right.
It's not a message of condolences for the victims either. Instead, it is this highly detailed, incredibly rigid 18-point instruction manual on how to just completely restructure human civilization from the ground up.
It's such a jarring image, but I mean, it perfectly captures the psychological whiplash of the document we are analyzing today. It really highlights that instinct to respond to unimaginable chaos with, well, a demand for absolute unwavering order.
Welcome to our deep dive. Today we are opening a fascinating, highly specific, and frankly bizarre time capsule. We're looking at a text titled New Year's Thinking proposed by Lifechanyuan. It was authored by a figure named Su Feng. And, the timing of this is really everything.
Well, absolutely.
It was published on January 1st, 2005.
Which places are just days, literally less than a week after the December 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami.
Yeah.
And for those who might not remember the sheer scale of that event, I mean, it was one of the deadliest natural disasters in recorded history. Over 250,000 lives were lost across 14 countries.
It's almost hard to comprehend.
It is. The global psyche was just shattered. People were collectively mourning and asking, how could something like this happen?
And into that gaping void of global trauma steps Su Feng with this manifesto. For those unfamiliar, Lifechanyuan frames itself as a sort of spiritual sanctuary, but practically it operates with all the hallmarks of a high-control group.
Right. Blending ancient mysticism with demands for total ideological loyalty.
Exactly. And just a quick note for you as we wade into this text. Zhu Feng outlines some incredibly radical, highly charged geopolitical and political demands. So we're looking at this purely as a historical and psychological artifact. We aren't taking sides or endorsing his worldview in any way, but we really have to look at his exact words to understand the architecture of this kind of thinking.
That's the key here.
Yeah.
We are dissecting how profound disaster triggers the human impulse to draft these authoritarian blueprints. This document serves as both a spiritual warning and, like, a utopian survival guide.
Okay, let's unpack this, because diving into this text is like opening a time capsule, where ancient spiritual mysticism suddenly collides with a 21st century geopolitical manifesto.
Yeah.
It is wild. But before we get to his 18 radical solutions to fix the world, we really have to understand how he diagnoses the problem.
Right.
Because Zhu Feng doesn't look at this tsunami as a tragic shifting of tectonic plates, does he?
Not at all. And what's fascinating here is that this is the philosophical bedrock of the entire manifesto. The author argues that the universe is not random at all. He says it is, quote, ordered and programmed.
Programmed, like a computer.
Exactly. He views humanity as the direct product of what he calls the greatest creator's consciousness. Because of that origin, human beings are intrinsically linked to the harmony and symmetry of nature. We're part of a giant cosmic software system.
Meaning if we act out of line, we corrupt the software.
Precisely. If humanity breaks that harmony, the system has to correct itself. So Hadam is framing a strictly geological event, a massive rupture under the ocean floor, as deliberate cosmic feedback. It's a mechanism of inputs and outputs.
Information in, feedback out.
Yeah. You input bad societal information, nature outputs a tsunami to balance the equation.
He even has the audacity to claim he saw it coming. The text explicitly says he predicted the disaster months in advance, but he put the word earthquake in quotation marks because he didn't want to cause a panic or be accused of making a mess.
Right. Highly convenient in hindsight.
It feels like the ultimate "I told you so," weaponized against a grieving planet. And he immediately pivots from that claim to a threat, warning that if humanity crosses a critical point, one or two more tremendous disasters are waiting in the wings to wipe us out.
And his solution is what he calls the triad of survival, right?
Yeah. The only way out is to revere three things: the greatest creator, life, which he spells in all caps, by the way, and nature.
The psychology here is what's truly fascinating. There's a term for this, apophenia. It's the human tendency to perceive meaningful patterns or causal connections in entirely random data. Historically, humans have always used natural disasters to enforce moral codes.
Oh, sure.
Like, a flood wipes out a village in ancient Mesopotamia, and the priests say, well, the gods are angry because you didn't sacrifice enough. What Sifeng is doing is taking that ancient, desperate coping mechanism and dressing it up in modern tech jargon.
That is such a good point.
He isn't talking about wrathful gods. He's talking about a programmed universe, information in, corresponding feedback out.
So what does this all mean for human agency? Because they are essentially framing a geological disaster as a moral failing. Isn't there a huge danger in viewing every natural disaster as a punishment for human behavior?
Oh, incredibly dangerous.
It feels like treating the entire universe as a giant, unforgiving, karmic vending machine. You push the wrong geopolitical button, and an earthquake drops out. And if you follow that logic, you end up blaming the victims of the tsunami.
You hit the nail on the head. It is inherently victim blaming. If a disaster is cosmic retribution for human disharmony, then the hundreds of thousands of people swept away by the ocean are, according to this strict moral physics, just part of the disease that nature was trying to purge.
Wow.
It's a terrifyingly rigid way to view the world, but for the author, it's comforting. It means someone, somewhere, is at the steering wheel.
Which explains why his immediate solution to fixing the tectonic plates is to redraw the map of human civilization. If bad human behavior caused the tsunami, then we have to aggressively police human behavior to prevent the next one.
Right, an uncompromising overhaul of the global political and military order.
Point blank. He demands an immediate halt to all nuclear testing and a steady reduction of military budgets worldwide.
And he doesn't stop at vague ideals of peace, either. He gets highly specific to the geopolitical anxieties of 2005. He demands the United States withdraw its troops from all global bases, and he literally calls for al-Qaeda to cease its confrontational activities.
If you think about what was happening in 2005, the U.S. was deeply entrenched in the Iraq War, the war on terror was dominating every headline, and North Korea's nuclear ambitions were a massive global stressor.
It was a very tense time.
Very. And Xuefeng is looking at the news cycle and trying to manually patch the bugs in the global software. He demands Middle Eastern countries reconcile. He mandates the reunification of the Korean Peninsula, stating there should be no quarreling between brothers.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. They are looking at deeply complex, centuries-old geopolitical conflicts and treating them like a messy teenager's bedroom that just needs a quick, ruthless tidying up.
Yes, exactly.
It sounds incredibly simple on paper, but how on earth do they expect to enforce this without using the very military power they want to abolish? The tone of that memo shifts dramatically when he addresses Taiwan, for instance.
This part is staggering, and again, just impartially reporting the text here, but he issues a direct ultimatum. He demands that Taiwan return to mainland China as soon as possible, warning them to have no fantasies lest the entire island sink forever.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it reveals a glaring contradiction at the heart of this entire document.
How so?
Well, in item 17, he literally declares 2005 the year to eliminate hatred and demands everyone give up revenge. Yet the rhetoric directed at Taiwan involves the terrifying threat of an entire island sinking into the ocean to enforce his version of harmony.
It's peace at gunpoint, but the gun is a mythical tsunami. We demand a year of zero hatred, otherwise the ocean will swallow you. It's so coercive. And you have to ask, who on earth does he think is going to oversee this massive military drawdown?
His answer is the United Nations, but not the UN as we know it. He wants the UN's power expanded to coordinate all global affairs, but its core mission must be rewritten to revere the creator, life, and nature.
So a world government based on his theology? But enforcing these new borders requires more than just UN mandates. If you want to eliminate conflict permanently, you eventually have to police what people believe, which explains why his next target is the human mind itself.
Right. The social engineering demands are where the control goes from macroscopic to microscopic. He recognizes that ideology drives conflict. So his solution is a total consolidation of belief.
The text dictates that all global religious activities must reduce, and all political parties must abandon their dogmas.
And the end goal is for every single ideology on Earth to gradually dissolve and shift entirely to his specific Lifechanyuan values.
And he plans to force this shift using education and the media. He instructs schools globally to teach a unified curriculum based on the wisdom of Jesus, Shakyamuni the Buddha Muhammad, and Lao Tzu.
On the surface, that might sound surprisingly pluralistic, right? A curriculum honoring the world's great spiritual leaders.
It's a massive paradox, though. On one hand, they want global schools to teach a diverse curriculum. On the other hand, they demand every political party and religion ultimately collapse into their own specific organization. You aren't just asking for harmony, they're asking for a total monopoly on truth.
This raises an important question about how utopian visions operate. To achieve their version of perfect order, you almost always have to completely erase individual differences and free will. And that monopoly extends directly to the press.
Oh, the media mandate is wild.
The text hands the global media a strict mandate. They are only permitted to report truth, goodness, and beauty. They must minimize or entirely eliminate any reporting on what he calls the fake, evil, and ugly.
Which is just a way to force positive societal thinking. But who defines what is good or ugly? If the media can only report positive news, you eliminate the public's ability to recognize corruption or systemic flaws.
Exactly. Tyranny often dresses itself up as mandatory optimism.
And speaking of mandatory, we have to mention his demands on human reproduction. The text explicitly tells all countries to learn from China and implement effective birth control policies to manage the global population.
Again, just reporting his demands, but the level of micromanagement is total.
It dictates what you watch, what you learn, what you believe, and how many children you can have. But to freeze this perfect, heavily controlled society in amber, you can't just stop political debate. You have to stop progress.
Right, because if humanity keeps evolving and expanding, we might accidentally introduce new bad data into the universe's software. So, Lifechanyuan proposes an immediate halt to modern science and the global economy.
The text demands an immediate end to biological gene research and cloning. It also demands we stop sending what he calls artificial satellite junk into space, which begs the question why? How does sending a communications satellite into orbit cause an earthquake?
It goes back to his concept of the universe's source code. In his view, when humans start cloning life or cluttering the cosmos with metal satellites, we are arrogantly trying to play creator. We are tampering with the cosmic code, creating bad data, which the universe violently corrects.
So, to prevent natural disasters, we have to stop pushing the boundaries of the material world. No more genetics, no more space exploration. Instead, he mandates a complete pivot to a new science.
What does he want scientists to do instead?
He instructs physicists to study antimatter, the negative universe, and the true meaning of time and space. And he tasks life scientists with solving the essence of the soul.
He wants to redirect the entire global scientific apparatus away from empirical advancement and force it to scientifically prove his own theology.
And if you think the scientific mandates are drastic, the economic demands are jaw-dropping. He demands an end to the killing of all wild animals and fish. He wants an immediate stop to deforestation and the closure of all pollutant factories.
All of which would radically alter global food supply and trade.
But this is the one that really got me. He demands a one-year global freeze on all groundbreaking construction to ensure only moderate economic growth. No new buildings, anywhere on Earth. For an entire year, imagine the immediate economic shockwaves. How does solving the essence of the soul keep the lights on and feed the global population while all industry is frozen?
It doesn't, but that highlights the deep tension in the text between material progress and spiritual equilibrium. The author doesn't view modern development as a triumph. He sees it as a literal cancer on the universe.
So you have to starve the host.
Exactly. The tsunami was the immune system reacting. To save the universe, you have to radically reduce the human footprint, even if it causes massive societal collapse.
And then, after laying out this incredibly sweeping blueprint for global control, we reach item 18. The text pivots to a funding pitch. I actually love that they slipped a funding request in at the very end.
It's quite the transition.
He asks the governments of the U.S., Japan, China, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt to fund Lifechanyuan academicians to turn the Gobi and other deserts into oases using their unique methods.
The tonal whiplash is remarkable. The world is on the brink of cosmic annihilation. We need to freeze the economy. Also, please wire funds to our desert reclamation initiative.
It's opportunism following tragedy. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, let's distill what we've actually uncovered here. The 2005 Lifechanyuan text is this striking amalgamation of ecological anxiety, spiritual absolutism, and radical geopolitical demands.
It really reveals how profound natural disasters can trigger desperate, sweeping blueprints for absolute global control.
And why should you, listening to this right now, care about a manifesto written nearly 2 decades ago? Because this document is a mirror reflecting a universal human coping mechanism.
Right. When faced with the terrifying, unpredictable power of nature, humans feel entirely powerless.
And in the face of that, we will go to extraordinary lengths to find meaning, to establish order, and to convince ourselves we can control the uncontrollable.
We crave a framework that makes sense of chaos, even if it means proposing global tyranny just to feel safe.
Which brings me to a final thought I want to leave you with today. The text explicitly states, karma is the shadow following you, insisting that the universe is a programmed system of information in, feedback out. He genuinely believed the natural world operated like software.
Yeah, a cosmic algorithm.
But think about the reality we inhabit today. We have literally built digital spaces through social media and AI algorithms that operate on this exact principle of information in, corresponding feedback out. You input anger, it feeds you anger.
Oh, wow. That is a haunting parallel.
It really is. Are we, through our modern technology, actually building the inescapable, rigid karmic loops that Lifechanyuan believed the natural universe already was?
We've essentially constructed the very programmed reality they were theorizing about, trapping ourselves in the loop.
It makes you wonder who is actually writing the source code now. Thank you for joining us on this exploration. Take a look at the feedback loops in your own life this week.
Until next time, take care of yourselves out there.